There is something in your supermarket that costs more than most of what you put inside it. It is not the meat, it is not the wine, it is the wheeled metal cage you are pushing around the aisles, a shopping trolley, a shopping cart, whatever you call it, it is one of the most stolen objects on earth. And the industry built around stopping that theft is stranger than you would ever guess. The numbers are absurd. In the United States alone, retailers lose an estimated 2 million shopping trolleys every single year. The replacement cost runs to more than $175 million annually. That is not a typo. $175 million every year just to replace stolen shopping carts. And that is only the direct cost. Add retrieval services, staff hours, damaged vehicles, blocked drains, and the lawsuits from trolleys rolling into traffic, and the real figure is much higher. So what is a shopping trolley actually worth? A basic wire cart costs a retailer somewhere between $75 and $250. The heavy-duty models, the ones with child seats and lower racks and silent wheels, can run higher. That does not sound like much until you multiply it by the 1,000 carts in a single superstore, and then multiply that by the 40,000 or so supermarkets in the United States alone. A large retailer is sitting on several $1 million of trolley inventory, and every single one of them is designed to leave the building. That is the fundamental design flaw. A shopping trolley is a piece of infrastructure that is supposed to be borrowed by strangers and rolled out into a car park. The entire business model depends on customers taking them. The problem is that some customers keep going. They roll them home. They roll them to the bus stop. They roll them into canals and rivers and ditches. In some cities, abandoned trolleys are such a common sight that they have become part of the landscape, rusting in creeks, stacked under bridges, lined up like sculptures on apartment balconies. Retailers have tried everything. Signs do not work. Shame does not work. Some stores experimented with hiring security guards to watch the exits, but that costs more than the carts. So the industry did what industries do when they cannot change human behavior. They changed the product, enter the locking wheel. The technology is simple and brutal. A thin wire is buried in a trench around the perimeter of the car park, usually at the exits. The wire emits a radio frequency. Every trolley wheel contains a small receiver. When a trolley crosses the boundary, the receiver picks up the signal and a pin shoots into the wheel mechanism. The wheel locks, not gradually, instantly. The trolley becomes a 200-pound paperweight on 3 working wheels and 1 seized block of metal. You cannot push it. You cannot drag it. You cannot fix it without tools. The only option is to abandon it or carry your groceries home. The technology is sold by a handful of specialist companies. Gatekeeper Systems is the largest. They have been doing this since the late 90s, and their smart wheel technology is now deployed on millions of carts across 47 countries. The wheel is completely sealed, weatherproof, tamper-proof, and contains a battery designed to last for years. It is a remarkable piece of engineering, and its entire purpose is to make a trolley useless the moment it tries to escape. But the wire boundary has limits. It only works where you can bury a wire. It does not stop someone from lifting a cart over the curb before the exit. It does not stop someone from loading a cart into a truck and driving away. And it does nothing for the carts that are already out in the wild. For those, retailers rely on retrieval companies. Small fleets of trucks drive around neighborhoods collecting abandoned carts from sidewalks, bus stops, and front gardens and returning them to the stores for a fee. It is a real industry with real contracts and real margins. Some retrieval companies charge per cart. Some charge a monthly retainer. Either way, the retailer is paying twice, once for the cart and once to get it back. Then the problem got political. Cities got tired of cleaning up abandoned trolleys. They got tired of the eyesores, the blocked gutters, the hazard to traffic. So they started passing laws. And the laws did not target the people stealing the carts. They targeted the retailers. In San Jose, California, any large retailer with more than 76 carts must now submit a prevention plan to the city. The options are threefold. Install locking mechanisms on every cart. Switch to a deposit system like the one Aldi uses where customers insert a coin to release a cart and get it back when they return it, or pay for a rapid retrieval service that collects abandoned carts within 24 hours. If the retailer fails to comply, the city fines them. In some jurisdictions, the fines run to thousands of dollars per violation. The logic is perverse. A retailer has their property stolen, and then the city fines the retailer for the theft. The California Grocers Association has publicly compared it to having your laptop stolen, the police recovering it, and then billing you for the officer's time. But cities do not see it that way. They see abandoned carts as litter, and litter is the producer's responsibility. The cart is the retailer's product, even when it is rolling away without them. The criminal penalties for cart theft vary wildly by state. In Illinois, taking a shopping cart can result in a fine of up to $2,500. In California, it is a misdemeanor punishable by up to $1,000 in fines and 6 months in county jail. In Hawaii, abandoning a cart in a public place can land you 30 days behind bars. In Florida, the civil fine starts at $100 and increases every day the cart remains missing. In Arizona, retailers can sue cart thieves directly for damages. The escalation is remarkable. An object designed to be borrowed temporarily has become the subject of criminal law, civil litigation, municipal ordinances, and embedded radio frequency tracking technology. All because people keep rolling them home. There is a second layer to this business that most shoppers never consider. The cart is not just a convenience. It is a sales tool. Studies have shown repeatedly that shoppers with larger carts buy more items. The cart is a psychological nudge. An empty cart feels like a challenge to fill. So retailers want the carts to be large, comfortable, and abundant. They want you to take one, they just want you to bring it back. This creates a tension at the heart of the business model. The retailer needs the cart to be easy to take and hard to keep. Every design decision is a compromise between customer convenience and loss prevention. Larger carts increase sales but increase replacement costs. Coin locks reduce theft but annoy customers who do not carry change. Wheel locks stop escapes but require expensive installation and maintenance. Retrieval services recover carts but add a recurring operational cost. There is no perfect solution, only a constantly shifting balance. And then there is the environmental angle. A shopping trolley is steel, plastic, rubber, and grease. When one is abandoned in a river or a ditch, it rusts, it leaches, and it becomes a permanent piece of industrial litter. Retrieval companies claim sustainability as a selling point, and they are not entirely wrong. Every cart recovered is a cart that does not need to be manufactured again. But the system only works if the retrieval happens before the cart is destroyed by weather or vandalism. The next time you grab a trolley at the entrance of a supermarket, look down at the wheels. One of them might contain a radio receiver, a locking pin, and a battery, all sealed inside a rubber tire, waiting for you to cross an invisible line. The cart you're pushing costs more than your weekly groceries. It is being tracked, protected, and legislated with a seriousness usually reserved for high-value assets. And yet it is still fundamentally a cage on wheels that you are allowed to borrow for 45 minutes. That is the hidden business behind the shopping trolley. It is not a piece of free infrastructure. It is a loan, and the entire industry around it exists because a surprising number of people forget to return the loan. The locking wheel clicks, the boundary wire hums, the retrieval truck drives its route, and somewhere a city council is drafting another ordinance to fine the supermarket for a theft they did not commit, of a product they never wanted to sell to a customer who just needed a way to carry the milk home.